Welcome to the Land of Bet Sports Betting Show. 2 games here on Wednesday night in the NBA playoffs. I'm going to be looking at game 2 of the Eastern Conference game. Boston and New York here. Boston down 1-0 at home. So we'll be taking a look at what we learned in game 1, what we can expect here in game 2 with some matchup insights, etc. Also have one up for the other game of the night, Denver and OKC. The other dog also won that game on Monday night. So we'll be taking a look at game 2 for that on Wednesday night in the other episode. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're going to keep bringing you videos for each of these games moving forward. Do want to take a look at the record again with you guys. Haven't been trying to duck it. There were some wins. There were some losses. We're a little bit above 500 in the playoffs right now. So happy to go quickly through what happened there in the games on Monday. Didn't even have any bets for Denver or OKC, but we'll go quickly through the Boston, New York ones and then give you a chance to get in that VIP for the rest of the playoffs as well. Another 50% off code for you guys. So if that all sounds good, give this video a like. Let's get right into it. So just wanted to address it real quick because my man Nate jumped in the comments, much appreciated, said he liked going back through what we had lost or won regardless of what happened, because it does help to kind of go through back what you bet on and continue to research this stuff to make sure that you can learn from it, right? If you need to make some changes or if there's an angle that you found that you can keep going with. Well, in this one, the angle that I mostly went with when the parlays, mostly all for reduced units in this game, as it was game 1 and I was trying to make sure I could get a little bit of a feel of the series before we got into it. But the straight bets here, those were the ones, 1-1. Okay, Jason Tatum came out and just put up a stinker on offense. But then the Brunson bets with Josh Hart as well. I put the money line in there with for the Celtics because that gives you some better juice as you get those negative correlations, right? You get Jalen Brunson to do well, but the Boston team to win didn't work out, right? And I was very conflicted as a Knicks fan, I will say, but a lot of the stuff that I looked at in this for game 1, I still like Jalen Brunson to score. I still like Josh Hart to get open and score. I still like Drew Holiday to have a plus matchup. And I still think Jason Tatum's going to come back in this series and play a lot better. So we'll continue to learn from this stuff for sure. If you do want to jump in, like I said, I'll tell you right now, it's code Davion, 50% off for that first month. Gets you through basically almost towards the end of the playoffs at this point. So hope to see you guys in there, but let's look at these matchups and such for game 2. Looking at these notes and takeaways from game 1, a lot of stuff to look at here. I'll say this. They won the Knicks because basically, in my opinion, because of these top 2 bullets. New York outscored Boston from 3, 17 for them, 15 makes for the Celtics. And a couple of notes here. The Celtics missed 45 threes, 15 for 60. They were 25% from deep. That is a record. No one has ever missed 45 three-pointers in a playoff game. No one's ever missed more than 40. 3-pointers in a playoff game. So this was some historically bad stuff. And there were a ton of wide open shots for the Celtics as well. You can look at specifically wide open shots. That's a category of stat on NBA.com and other websites where you can see if there's nobody within 6 feet of a guy considered wide open. Plenty of those shots for the Celtics, and they just missed them. Porzingis, second one there, missed the second half. He is probable for Wednesday. It was the illness. It seemed to be maybe related to other illnesses that he's had during the season that made him miss a while. Tough to say exactly. I don't want to speculate too much, but he's probable now for Wednesday. So it does seem like it wasn't an actual, ailment to his body, like a muscle or anything like that. It was more of a sickness and sort of a little bit more temporary, so that he'll be probable for this game on Wednesday. Tatum, completely different halves. I'm going to show you a graphic I put together to kind of illustrate what the first half for Tatum on offense looked like versus the second half. So we'll be talking about that stuff here in one more sec. Tatum rebounds, I was dead ass wrong. The results speak for themselves. He had 16 boards, but I'll say he had 17 rebound chances, and it was 9.5 boards was the prop. I thought guarding Cat would definitely hurt him, and I would still argue that there's a chance that it will. Cat was not out there for very long, as we know, because he can't stop fouling because he can't play defense, which leads us into the next one, right? And if Cat is out there for any more time, because he can avoid getting 2 fouls in the first quarter, 3 in the first half, 5 by the beginning of the fourth quarter. If he can avoid that stuff, and I'm not saying that I believe he can, he's horrible on defense, but if he can, I'm not saying that there's a 100% chance that he will, but there's a likelihood that he'll be able to figure it out a little bit more throughout this series in terms of staying on the floor like he did in Detroit. And if he can, then it will be harder for Tatum to get boards. But one thing's for sure, they're going to hunt Cat, they're going to hunt Brunson, and those guys might find themselves in foul trouble if they can't figure out a way to sort of, arm them or shield themselves from continuously fouling the Boston offensive players. The last thing I have is about Mitch Rob, because we saw the hack of Mitch, right, where they just go foul this dude who's a 38% free throw shooter or whatever he is. Horrific. He was 3 for 10 from the line, so it does seem like right in line with his averages for his career at like I said, 38, 40%. If they keep doing that, I mean, there's a couple things here. Obviously, they played him off the floor in this last game. They couldn't keep him out there towards the end of the game. And that'll probably be the case in the fourth quarter. They're just not going to be able to play him in the fourth because they will just go resort right to hacking him. But he did have the best plus minus of any Knicks player. And that is heavily due to the fact that he's their best rebounder. And when Cat's off the floor, they don't really have a good rebounder outside of Josh Hart, who was incredible, but he can't be your best rebounder on the defensive boards, especially, right? A lot of Josh's boards were flying in on the offense. He had 5 of his 11 were on offense for the Josh Hart rebounds. So Mitch Rob comes out there is helpful because they lost the rebounding battle, but when he was out there, it was pretty much even, and at times they were in the lead in that sense. So we'll see if they still give him 20 minutes. I imagine he's still in line for about 15, but I'm not sure if they can get him all the 20 if they continue to do the hack-a-mitch. If you saw the last episode, then you know these matchups are pretty much what they are at this point. Drew on Brunson, everything else pretty much the same except for Porzingis on Hart, right? And we should be seeing Porzingis out there again, and they will continue to put Porzingis on Hart so that they can have him more available to protect the rim. And as a result, we'll keep attacking Josh Hart points most likely. And then Tatum on Towns. Like I said, that should lead to fewer rebounds. We'll see. He did have the boards in this one, but 16 rebound chances would normally lead to 8 or 9 rebounds. Getting 16 boards on 17 rebound chances is not something we want to rely on continuously, especially if Cat can stay out of foul trouble a little bit. Nothing new here either, and this one is a little bit more just obvious, right, in terms of the position by position guards here. Brunson on Drew, Bridges on White, et cetera, et cetera. The key here for me, again, Drew in a good position on offense, not only because he is going to get Brunson, who's a weak defender and can't afford to keep getting in foul trouble, but also because they're going to get him in action in the offense to keep Brunson working on defense, so he gets like no breaks essentially. Right before we jump into the actual player props that I want to show you on Props Madness, I did put this quick one together to show you the shot chart difference between Tatum in the first half and the second half. And the key here is really more than anything, the first half, all right, he took 4 shots inside the 3-point line. He also took 6 shots outside, went 2 for 6 from 3, went 2 for 4 from inside, and like 3 shots in the paint essentially, including a foul shot, looking basically length of a shot. But in the second half, you see this 2 shots inside the 3-point line, and one of them was basically a 3, as it was like a 22-footer, right? And then he had that 1 shot, a little bunny at the rim that he missed as well. So like, this can't be the way that he plays. And the biggest problem is going to be those 4 X's on the 3-point line out to the right, because 2 of those indicate the shots that he took at the end of the game when they had opportunities to put this thing away in regulation, and just completely blew that lead. So I'm not expecting the same type of just awful 3-point shooting. And I'm also not expecting the same type of Tatum awful shot selection in game 2. I got to imagine that's a huge point of emphasis from Mazzulla and the coaching staff to get through to him, that he's got to be more aggressive. As always, going to be using Props Madness here on the show. If you do want to jump in and use this platform, 25% off if you use code LYB. Also gets you 7 free days of a trial there to test it out, see if you like it before you jump all the way in. As we know, we like to use it for all the filters it provides and everything else. And I like to use this on the live show as well. Should be able to get a live going on Wednesday with you guys. Hoping to get a couple guests on there as well. So we'll see if we can make it happen. I'm feeling good about it. But as we jump into this Props Madness stuff, let's just go down the line, man. I mean, looking at Tatum, I still like his points. I still like his assists. Like I said, I think he's going to have a better shot selection. It's not that he lacked attempts, right? In this game, he had 23 of them. He made 7 of them. And that's because too many of them were just threes that should not have been taken. At least like 4 or 5 of them were just chucks, right? That he just has the green light all day. So he felt the confidence to do it. Needs to, at the very least, start by going to the rim. And he did that in the first half for 13 points in the first quarter. I still think he's very capable of easily getting to 30. And I like the assists as well, continue to like them, because I do think as the series goes on, they'll continue to throw not necessarily more guys, but definitely a couple more double teams and a couple more times where they do try to trap him and force the ball out of his hands, at least when he's in the right spot on the court, that he can't just find an open guy from 3 that's 1 pass away. Right. So if they continue to pressure him, the assists continue to be a good look. But the 17 potentials that he had in this last game is really what I turn to and go, I mean, that's going to, I can't see that getting below double digits for him continuously. Now, this is at 5.5. It's not like he's had like a ton of success against the Knicks with the assists on the season. He's at 6.8 now because he's had like 3 good games and 2 kind of poor games. But look, he's always getting to double digit potentials. And in fact, he's averaging a good amount now, 13.6. After he just added 17 in this last game. Averages are now up to 13.6 potentials. That makes you feel pretty good about getting 6, even 7 especially when you consider what I was saying at the top, which is that a lot of these were just open misses, man. Like just straight up, these guys were open, unlucky game, probably got ahead of themselves. They eventually go cold sometimes, but I don't think we're going to see quite that level of cold streak from them. And even if they go up to 35%, right, which is still good, not amazing, but a good percentage for them, they're still, that's like, it's got to be like 9 to 12 more points based on how many they took. Easily 3 to 4 more makes than they had, if not more than that, right? So, yeah, I think that there's going to be a little bit more better luck coming for them in this game, which will lead to more assists for Tatum as he passes to shooters that make the shots, and the points. I'm still staying away from the rebounds. I don't believe in it. I didn't go under in the last game. I'm not fading his boards, but I'm good on those right now. I still want to see what happens when Cat gets full minutes and he's guarding him for the entire game instead of the fewer minutes that Cat played. Zinger looked awful in this last game. There's no like mincing words here. He was just bad, and obviously he was sick. I don't know if he's any better. I have no intel on that. He's probable. Good for him. I'm staying away from that. This is one guy whose points do seem low. With Derek White, they refused to bump him up from 14.5 on a couple books. Does look like it's going to get up to 15.5 here. But I mean, at the end of the day, the head-to-head numbers are great for him for sure. He's at about 18.6. The playoff numbers still stay, even after playing an awful, like a hard series against the Magic here, still getting, closer to 16 or 17 points a game. I still think we have 1 or 2 points of an edge, and that in the playoffs, Derek White should be considered a 16 to 17 points a game guy. When you look at the regular season, it's not like he was much worse than that anyway. He was 16.5. His minutes during the regular season were 35.6. If we look at him in the playoffs, his minutes are at 38 per game, right? And in this last game against the Knicks, excluding OT, he was at 39. So if you have him at 38 minutes and you're still giving me below his season averages, for the love of God, with Kristaps, who's a little bit banged up at the very least, with the sickness, then yeah, I'm going to keep finding Derek White's points as a pretty good over here. 14.5, 15.5 are still playable numbers for me. Same goes for Jrue Holiday, man. We gave you the analysis in the last one, talked about it a little bit at the top when we were looking at matchups, and I mentioned Jrue is going to have Brunson on him, which means not only is he going to get shots, and in this one he had 14 of them, it also means that he's going to continue to be in the action, give him opportunities to get involved. The assists, not terrible if you wanted to add them. I think that now that they're at 3.5, you're getting a bit of value here for a guy who's at about 4 per game anyway. And then in the playoffs, too, in the 3 games he's actually played, he's at 4.7. In this last one, 6 potentials. I think he's good for a little bit more at times, but if you add it to the points, playing PA together, I think it's fine look as well. But the points are really what I'm most focused on, because 14 shots, a dude who is 12, at least 12, if not 13 to 14 points per game. Good for that. I mean, over the course of his career, that's what he averages. And now you're going to keep him out there to guard Brunson. I'm going to keep feeling good about Jrue at like anywhere from 11 to 13 points. I think that's what he should be he should be sort of projected for in this series. Moving to the Knicks players, same thing here for Brunson, y'all. I'm not going to waste your time and talk about why. Again, I'll simply summarize it by saying the Celtics don't double. He'll continue to have one-on-one matchups. Once he finds his groove at times, like he did in this last game, where he can get to the mid-range and get a lot of 2s, then he's good to go. Did hit a lot of 3s, and I know a lot of people were talking about the 3s, and you still get plus money for it, and I still like it because of the attempts, right, for 3. He had 9 in this last game, and if you look at his head-to-head numbers in all the games other than the first one, when he only played 25 minutes, because they got blown out, 7 attempts, 9, 12, 9. Right, so he probably should be projected for closer to 9 attempts, which means he's got to hit 33% of them, and he's about a 38-ish% three-point shooter, I believe. So I'm still liking him on the 3s as well. It's a big reason why I like the points. He's just got to get the 2s going, make sure he finds his groove, and then the 3s will fall as well. And I think Brunson's going to continue to be good for his points. Probably going to go back to another Brunson points over with a fade of the Knicks and a money line bet on the Celtics. Continue to dislike Cat as well. I mean, if he can play the minutes, great. There's just so many outs in terms of the way that he could go under. There's so many ways that an over for Cat goes wrong, right? And the under is often a better play because of that. One of them is fouls. The other one is Cat in the playoffs. He had a couple of nice games against the Pistons. I still don't buy it, especially against this one. If Porzingis is actually healthy, only makes it tougher on him to be able to get his, with Tatum guarding him and Zinger behind him as the guy that's sort of keeping him from getting all the way to the rim. So I don't like Cat. I'm not going to take him on pretty much anything right now. Like under 2.5 assists is minus 210. That's kind of what the books think of him and the betting public in general. OG continues to just outperform expectations and look like like the best player on the Knicks at times. No shade to Brunson, who had an incredible ending to the game. But I mean, between his defense and what he did on offense, we should continue to expect 42 minutes for him. The only person who seems to be able to get more minutes is Mikal, who played like 50 something minutes in this last game. But the 50% shooting, look, it was an awesome game. He's been hot forever. I feel like if there's a train that in terms of taking overs for OG, maybe I missed it. I don't think we should expect him to hit 50% every game against a defense that is going to continue to crowd him and will continue to crowd shooters and not double team ball handlers like Brunson. So that's my quick take on OG. Same look for Mikal, who's outperforming things. I hope he continues to do it as a Knicks fan, but I don't really want any part of that. I do think Josh Hart continues to be good in this series, right? Both mostly for the points. The boards are still 9.5. Don't love those as much. I mean, he has 3 games here with 11, 11, 11. He's at about 20 rebound chances per game in those. So look, for plus money, might be good. No Kristaps hurt the Celtics majorly on the boards. They won the rebounding battle by 10, but point being, the thing I'm looking at for Hart is the points, right? The rebounds too much, not enough of an edge, I should say. That this seems like a pretty fair line at 9.5. If you like the plus money, I can dig it. I'm not going to tell people to stay away from the boards, especially because on offense he's been so good. But again, more Cat and more Porzingis out there should impede Josh Hart from continuing to get boards. And then the points continue to be good. If you look at the shot attempts, again, 9 plus 6 free throw attempts. So probably about 11, 12 shots, 12, 13 shots that he really took in this game. And that's what he continues to do against this team, is take a lot of shots, because if Porzingis is guarding him, then he's sagging off of Josh Hart and allowing him to have a little bit more space to work with. Plus, he's their best transition guy and the only one that really gets them out there, other than Deuce McBride, honestly. So he'll continue to have those opportunities as well. Last notes here, basically about the bench for the Knicks. Like, the only guy you can trust, I think it's a 6-man rotation. I think it's Deuce McBride, and that's it. Now, Mitch Rob, he is going to come off the bench. I don't know how many minutes he's going to get, though. They played him 21 in this game, in part because Cat was in foul trouble, and then they were trying to help on the boards. But if Cat isn't in foul trouble, he should be. They would love him to play 40 minutes, and that would really cut into Mitch Rob, keep him at about 10, because they're not going to play them together very often. Not against the Celtics, where there's just like you put Mitch Rob in a blender and you're in a look. Basically, you can't have Mitch Rob one-on-one on the perimeter, and Cat is lost on defense. So you can't have 2 guys that can't really guard the perimeter out there against a Celtics team that has 5 guys that can make threes. So I don't think Mitch Rob's minutes are safe. I think Deuce is probably at about 15 to 20 per game, maxing out at 20 minutes. And I don't know if he's going to make 50% of his shots every time. So 5.5 is probably still beatable. If he gets 8 shots, I like him for 5.5. But once again, I don't really trust anybody on the bench for the Knicks, because Tibbs is liable to play his guys 48 in one of these games. All right, make sure you are subbed to the channel. Check out the OKC Denver Game 2 episode that's about to get recorded for you guys as well. And until I see y'all next, happy betting.